Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge. My company has been relocating people to Belarus over the last 3 years now, and generally we're dealing with all aspects of immigration, including, but not limited to, immigration and real estate. This video is one of the digests of the headlines, global and local, throwing some light over what's happening in Belarus, around Belarus. Basically, it's very biased, it's not really a media issue, and still for many of you it may or may not give some ideas to research or point you at some kind of a planning, which may or may not result in your travel and or relocation to Belarus. Thank you all for who are supporting the channel. It's really important to get your fivers, tenors. Some people donate more handsomely, and that supports the whole thing and lets me know I'm needed. Your likes, your dislikes, your feedback underneath is very welcome. Let's get started. While my work here may contain some serious ideas and bits of analysis, it's really recommended to take a professional consultancy because, firstly, not everything goes on the free air, and secondly, any specific analysis, any specific consultancy is fitted into a specific context. A village house for $10,000 will fit an American but will not fit somebody else, and so on and so forth. There is always a solution to a case. So the big idea here is I'm not selling houses or flats, I'm selling solutions. Keep that in mind, please. We might quickly laugh at the global events. It seems like European farmers have a real serious and a real different look at how the EU must look or should look in case with their subsidies, their benefits and all the things, and they're making a pretty serious point about that. It's also quite surprising that Boeing continues having its open door policy, and it's sort of shocking to me to see a big capitalist operator to be treating its security, as it turns out, so cheaply, and reputation respectively. NATO generals have not very smart talks over sensitive, compromised channels of communications, and the Gaza people got bombed as they lined up for the aid in wherever it was. I think it was checkpoint with Egypt. And in the media headline, you don't really get the actor, like they got killed, like they were queuing up cheerfully or not so cheerfully, and then something happened and 100 got killed in the aid line. That's how the West is. CNBC lined up 13 best destinations for the American pensioners. I just read an interesting article about welfare levels dropping among American would-be retired people, current pensioners, and those about to retire. And it seems they're getting skinny. And it also is strange that $1,500 a month destination list did not include Belarus, which is a little bit unfair. I guess they excluded us because of the climate conditions. Germany stations troops at the border. I think it's more like a fun news that should be voiced at the end. Latvia reintroduces conscript service, Lithuania as well, and Lithuania, and that's more important here, has shut down 2 checkpoints, leaving just 2. So that has cut the number of bus carriers going into Belarus and back, and the prices of the tickets are up like 40 euro per ride instead of 30. And that's the best way to get in Belarus if you want to do it cheaper. Istanbul layover, several other combinations. There's a guy coming in from America via Azerbaijan very soon on the 21st. That's a tourist, by the way. American tourist, funnily enough, and that's one of the ideas. So with this in mind, generally travel hasn't changed much since the release of the Big Travel Advice 2024 video. You can fly in and out, visa-free if you're eligible. There's a list of countries on the website of the Foreign Ministry, or you could get a visa and make it cheaper taking a bus into and out of the country, and that makes you more flexible. You can even fly out if need be, and generally there are no obstacles here. I just had an Irishman on tour, and the guy was quite happy. Hey guys, here we are somewhere in southern Belarus with a good gentleman from England, Simon, and the video is about a Westerner getting his experience of Belarus, not getting shot at the airport or something, or grilled somewhere around. It hasn't been like a 5-star experience from all angles, and Simon will tell us now about his airport arrival in the first line. How did it work?
Yeah, the arrival at the passport control was a little bit intimidating. They went through virtually every entry on my passport with a fine-tooth comb.
Thick lens, they like it.
Asked me various questions about what I was doing in Belarus, which I answered truthfully, and I thought there was nothing that they could be suspicious about, but they didn't seem satisfied, and I was led away into a separate area, had my passport removed and referred obviously to somebody more senior in the chain, and was left hanging around for about half an hour with perhaps half a dozen other travellers. Eventually came back and got through after quite a while. It was definitely a little bit intimidating, and I was wondering what was going on and how long I was going to be detained for, but all's well that ends well, and I eventually was allowed to proceed.
And any idea what they were looking for?
Absolutely no idea. It's the most intrusive entry into a country, and this is my 54th visit within Europe.
Generally, what's your impression by far? It's the second or third day here.
Pleasantly surprised. It's not vastly different to any or many of the other European countries, and definitely better than some. I found Minsk to be very clean, generally nice architecture, very favourably compared to quite a few other, particularly Eastern European cities I've been to. I won't mention any names, but it left quite a good impression. I felt safe. I thought the hotel I stayed in was excellent, particularly it was very quirky, and the staff were very helpful. Didn't really have any issues going out of an evening. Again, no problems. It all seemed fairly safe.
Cool bar.
Very cool bar.
That's the Old Town area.
Yeah, in the Old Town area.
How did you go about booking hotels? We'll put down the name of his hotel later.
I tried the usual aggregators, so that would be booking.com.
Who ran away?
Who weren't offering any options, so I went with hotels.com, part of Expedia, which I've used regularly, and had no bother, and had a good choice of good value hotels, compared to most of Western Europe, and haven't been disappointed.
The only wrinkle here that perturbs adventurous travelers who do keep in mind us as a destination is cash versus cards. Cards may not work occasionally, so it always helps to have a couple of cards, one of which may be declined, and one stack of cash to back up your needs for whatever. You could pay for your accommodation online if that's a hotel. Expedia works fine, or get some cash to get a cheaper apartment, which is roughly $50-70 a night, depending on what you really need. Real estate is really having high times. February is another record month with deals reaching $1,500 in a month, which is untypical for February, which is just a prologue, a wake-up period before March frenzy. And the prices are up by 1% roughly. Typically, a reasonably priced piece of property goes within 2 weeks. Again, the negotiation frame is very minimal. They say roughly 3% on average can be cut from the price. Depends on many factors. And generally, the market is pretty much kicking. 40% of the deals, 30% of the deals involve bank loans still, and they have not changed. But this may change with the recent election results in the country next door. I saw a headline that in New York some landlord is pushing people out of the building that they rent, and many of my refugees, let's say, clients from the West, are claiming that in the West the rights of the tenants are much more protected, much better protected than those of the landlord. Here there's a 3-week period when you get a notice from either side about the cancellation oncoming, and it's a duty of the other party to find themselves another bargain, repay the deposit, and do all the things they do before they get the keys back and accept the premises. One thing is certain for a fact: Chinese tenants are never boring, and that'll probably be another video sometime. Renting out to foreigners can also be messy at times when 1 out of 2, related or not related, leaves, and there is still a contract running for a room. They don't cancel, they don't register, and it takes 2 months of paperwork and bureaucracy, of paperwork and pain to get them registered by court. So some landlords in Minsk are not very happy how the foreigners conduct in this respect. So foreign tenant may not be like, oh yeah, we've been waiting for you kind of thing, which was proven by my recent search for an Australian guy. The current trends are there are much fewer readily made, readily built offers from the developers, and they cost a lot of money because they up the prices along with the offers of the loans. Also, the new real estate market trend, because of the new law that disallows one single company work with both seller and buyer. The buyers are normally looking for the properties themselves, facilitated or not with translators, of course, and then they hook up with a company to check the background of that property. I'll be soon releasing a video about this search and deal process to renew the previous ones, which were published earlier, because the information has slightly changed. I can only echo the previous suspicions of mine. Obviously, there are analysts, there are experts, and many of them have similar opinions. What I'm hearing is that the current demand is going to be quite high because they expect pretty bad inflation tied up to the Russia's inflation. And now that the election has gone through successfully, the Russian ruble rate is going to fall. Some say very steadily, right, very gradually. And so ours, tied up to it badly, will go the same way. And that means many people will be basically anticipating a drop in rate, trying to save their savings. Whatever trouble happens first, America cancels dollars or Russian rate is going to be affecting our currency. They will bury their or invest their money into concrete properties, which are the most concrete ways of investment for them for now. So with limited offers, the number of offers will drop badly within a couple of months, and the ones that are still out, like luxury properties, are likely to go on hold for years, and very few of them will be available with reasonable bargaining and reasonable understanding of the market by the seller. This week we're finishing a purchase of a pretty expensive property with a client and a sale of basically similarly priced property. We'll be running a video about this, like I said, and share the details with you soon. IT relocation trend seems to be over. There are very few power of attorney sale deals facilitated by friends or relatives of the people who are selling off. And the company Politica, which is an Israeli IT big player, pretty much is like suggesting it's gonna start moving personnel soon to different countries. Belarusian buyers very much like to take loans for now. They're kind of affordable, 11.5% in rubles. Many of the guys who do that, I understand, have dollar-related incomes. So with ruble losing value in the short term, they may be saving this way and paying off their debts with not very bad damage. The Belarusian airlines are launching a direct flight to Sanya in China, and apparently it's a pretty expensive package, some $1,800 for 10 days, like the holiday region in China you probably have been to or have heard of. So some people here still have cash. Also, the same can be concluded from the car park of Minsk, which is more and more becoming Chinese. Some Kickstarter project came up with a Bluetooth speaker jammer to keep the neighbors quiet. That's not in Belarus, of course. In Belarus, we have fairly solid laws about house noise, acceptable between 9 and 23 o'clock in different houses, like newer houses where they have chats. They can sometimes agree on some noise, except for lunchtime break or kids' sleeping hours, like 14 to 15 o'clock silence. So everything can be moderated. In the older buildings where you have some babushkas living next door, it's a bit harder. Some kind of a lawyer in America is suing a milk producer, or was it meat producer? I didn't quite get it. For, I think it's milk, for methane emissions of the cows. As I understand, there's a facility where cows are bred, and obviously they don't just produce milk only, and this sort of side product of their existence is doing carbon dioxide emissions, and she's taking them to court for this. In Belarus, we could probably only laugh about this. The French are photoshopping away a cross from a church that's on some kind of a billboard for the Olympics posters. That's on some kind of Olympics theme posters. Again, we can only laugh and cry about this, both at the same time. Today we're quite brief because the agenda is becoming busy. People are moving in and out and around. There is a house to sell, there is a flat to sell, and also there is a video to shoot about the Indian crooks. There is a story about two Indian guys, if you remember, the ones who took $42,000 debt and never bothered to pay most of it. They paid some dollars, but not much, and generally their company here seems like a fraud. I'll be going through the points to prove that, and officially I'll be filing a petition from my company to ban these guys from Belarus. I have a right to do that officially, so we'll see what happens to them, because one of these guys has been deported already. The other flew to attend a wedding, like he has no other important duties to perform, like paying off his debt and respecting his obligations. And we'll see if they get a 5-year ban from Belarus and Russia, because they come together in a package. Ask your questions and put your comments down below. Don't forget that something more specific and more technical than just a casual question about whether it's a matter of consultancy, you can still put it in the comments, and we might or might not divert this to the phone call, which is a paid service. Thank you for watching. Press the likes, press dislikes. The next expat meeting in Minsk is announced in the comments below in the video description, and I'll be happy to see you in Minsk at some point. Cheers, and spring is in finally.